In this lesson, we'll learn how to animate objects along a path in 3ds Max. Path animation can be very beneficial for us if we need to animate vehicles like cars or trains, or in this case our starship. What we do is create a path and then constrain our object to that path. So let's go ahead and learn how this works. We can first create our path by going to the Create panel. We'll make a shape. If you had a special trajectory you'd like your object to travel along, you can use the line tool to draw out that trajectory. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use a helix. I'll go ahead and just draw this out. And I'll also rotate this down. It helps to turn on angle snap so we can rotate down in 5-degree increments. Alright, and if you like, from here you can go to the Modify panel and stretch out your path a little bit more, adjusting the height parameter. And I'll also just bring this back. Alright, so now that we have this path, we can go ahead and constrain our object to it by selecting the object first. I'll go ahead and toggle on its selection bracket with the J hotkey. And then we'd go to the animation menu, Constraints, and choose Path Constraint. Now, when we choose the path, notice what happens in our motion panel. We have a new Path Constraint controller. And if we were to scroll down below that, we can see we have now a path parameter rollout where we can add paths and then animate their weight back and forth. And here's our path percentage. This is how the object actually travels along the path. We'll probably want to set that back to 0. Okay, so we can have this object move along the path the way we like it to. Now you'll see that the object is not oriented to the path. That's because we need to turn on follow. Now you'll see that it's going to very nicely and gracefully move along our path. Now if you notice that after you turn on follow, the ship is kind of still facing in the wrong direction, you can use the axis parameters for that. And then you can actually use flip if you need to reverse the orientation. Alright, and what we also have is the ability to bank our objects along a path and control that bank, using the bank parameter. And if we notice too much banking, we can use smooth to smooth all of that rolling out. Allow upside down. This would be great to use if we noticed any flipping for vertical paths. And then constant velocity, with this turned on, it's going to do exactly what it says. Our ship is going to move at a constant rate along our path. But with it turned off, it's basically going to look at the spacing of each vertice that makes up our curve. So it's similar to the principle of ease in and ease out. If we had several vertices close together, what would happen is that our animation would move slower, and as they spread further apart, it would pick up speed. We can use loop to have this object constantly loop along the path. And then relative, this would basically bring our object back to its original position, but still have it in a way conform to our path. Alright, so now that we've seen this, notice how things look a little bit jittery as this object moves along the path. If you're experiencing that, what you can do is take your shape here. We'll go to the Modify panel. We can convert this to an editable spline. Once that's done, we'd want to go to our subobjects, our spline, select it, right-click, and make sure it's going to be set to curve. So now, with that done, if we were to hit play, that has smoothed out our motion. Right. And with the keys that have been made, you'll notice that they have been made based off of our active time segment. And you can adjust the spacing, so if we wanted the animation faster, can definitely move those keys around. Or even set our own keys, but remember to make sure you're working in either auto key or set key mode, otherwise you'll get an offset. Unless you want that offset, then you're fine. So now that we've looked at how we can apply a path constraint, let's go ahead and learn how we can basically collapse the animation here and remove the ship's connection from the path by discussing trajectories, which will be our next topic in the upcoming lesson.